morning and welcome. It is Friday, February 23rd. It's about 8:15 a.m. My family left just under an hour ago for my daughter's last day of school this week. My husband works tomorrow too, so it's technically not his last day. I'm really excited to have the house to myself. It seems like I've just been running around crazy all week doing stuff, and today is the first day where I actually can relax a little bit. I don't have any cards to show off, so basically just some catching you guys up on what's been going on. I still have the cards here that I showed you folks the last time. Some of them are being mailed out for personal use, some of them I'm hanging on to for personal use, some of them are going out into my Etsy shop because they're extras, so I'm still kind of working on those. What I have been kind of busy with this week since we last touched base, I've mentioned a few times before that I help admin a large Facebook community for Etsy sellers and stuff, and we've become so large that we're actually branching off into another group. So I've been kind of busy with that a good chunk of this week, just helping to get our members of our community moved over and set up, and so I'm kind of busy with that, and also working quite a bit behind the scenes on my own Etsy shop. I still had a lot of stuff that I need to kind of switch over from Valentine's Day, which aren't Valentine's Day specific, but I need to kind of get them moved over into different kinds of card categories and so on and so forth. So I've been kind of doing that a little bit behind the scenes and not a heck of a lot of actual work. I am, however, or work in creation anyway, I should say. I have decided to take some of my downtime while I have to sit here anyway in front of the computer and kind of field Facebook stuff as it comes in. I have a list that I keep in my planner of card ideas that I'd like to do in my Cricut. So I've been sitting here with the Cricut design space open, and I've been kind of designing them and then save it and then move on to the next one. So I'm actually making a big chunk out of my Cricut to-do list, or to design list anyway, from my planner. And actually what I kind of hope to do a little bit later on this morning, kind of work to clear off this desk space, which is getting kind of messy, is I'd actually like to fire up the Cricut and actually make a few of these that I've designed. So I'm pretty excited about that. Another project that I've been working on, and I just kind of, it didn't make it to my list of topics to bring up with you, but I see the book here and it's reminding me. I run every month from this Facebook group for Etsy sellers. I run an Instagram pod, a small Instagram pod of people from that group. And it's kind of the end of the month, so we're kind of winding down. This is the book where I track all of our Instagram stuff that I need to track. It's kind of winding down a little bit, so we're focusing on end of the month stuff with that. So I've been kind of doing that. And also for this same group, I've just developed an Instagram page for this group, so I'm kind of working on that a little bit too. I've been a little busy. And this is a great time of year for me to take that on. Mostly, I'm a work-at-home mom. I basically do a little bit of eBay, but my Etsy shop is kind of it for me, and my card making and other paper crafts that I have in my Etsy shop. So right now is kind of the beginning of my medium slow season before the really slow season starts. So Christmas is a big one for me. Valentine's Day is a big one for me for greeting cards. I don't really do any. I might do one or two, if that, sell St. Patrick's Day cards. Even though I love them, I just can't sell them to save my life. It's not a big greeting card season. And I do a couple more Easter. I might do a dozen or so Easter cards. Again, it's not a huge card seller for me. I know that there are people that can push Easter cards. I'm just not one of them. I don't know if it's maybe because I look at Easter from kind of a welcome spring and not necessarily a religious holiday, and maybe just it's more of a religious holiday. I'm not sure. Easter's not a huge one for me. I do have a couple that I will do. And then I'll do some Mother's Day and some Father's Day, which are slightly more than Easter, but still not huge for me. I wish that it wasn't, and I'm actually a lot of the stuff in my to-do list here, I'm really going to try to push Mother and Father's Day to see what I can do with them, but they're not huge for me. So once that ends in June, once Father's Day is over, it's really quiet for my shop. all the way through until like September when I start getting up my Halloween stuff. So, and of course I will work on Halloween and Christmas product all throughout the summer. But it really slow. So Valentine's Day has just ended, so I'm kind of in like I'm prepping a couple things for St. Patrick's Day and Easter, a couple of more things for Mother's and Father's Day, but really I don't have that much going on. And I won't get busy again until September. So, of course I still do, all year round I do weddings and, birthdays and, stuff like that you need all year round. But my big seasonal stuff is pretty much over. And we'll continue, it'll just continue to drop off here until summer starts, and then a nice easy summer. So sorry for that long, boring explanation, but so this is the perfect time for me to be helping out with stuff for the Facebook group and headlining the Instagram page for our group and kind of getting that set up, because I don't have a lot of other stuff going on. So there's not a big rush for me to do things. I keep moving this. This is just our backup battery that we have for charging our phones, and I keep meaning to, it belongs in the kitchen, and I keep meaning to put it away. My desk, unfortunately, becomes kind of like a catch-all for stuff, and I think my daughter or my husband left that here, and I meant to get up and put it away yesterday, and I kept forgetting. Anyway, so Instagram, Facebook, I've been trying to, as I'm sitting here anyway, I'm not sure if you can even hear, I'll turn it down. My Facebook notifications dinging on my computer are people, requesting certain things of me, which is fine, but I literally have just been sitting here, and I'll tab out and I'll work on some of those, and I'll tab back out and go to the Cricut design space, and then I'll work on what I need to work on. And so that's kind of what I've been doing, at least for work. Another thing that I've been kind of working on is, I've been filling out my planner, just kind of preparing for March, which is right around the corner, and some to-do things that I have to do. There's nothing really too exciting. We have a couple of doctor's appointments and a couple of birthdays for friends. We personally don't do much St. Patrick's Day stuff in this house. St. Patrick's Day happens to be the anniversary of my father-in-law's very sudden passing, and also my grandfather's passing. My grandfather died, 10 years before my father-in-law did, but they both passed away on St. Patrick's Day, and I loved my grandfather dearly. So it's not, and of course my husband loved his father. It's not the happiest day in our house, so we don't do too much. My daughter loves it, of course, because she's 9, and she loves any reason to be festive. So she'll just wear like a fun hat or something to school, or wear green. But I don't do things, I don't like boiled dinner, so I don't make boiled dinner. We don't do any of those things. My husband and I aren't drinkers, so we don't do the green beer thing. So really, it just, aside from, letting our daughter wear a little green hat and clothes or whatever and go off to school. Actually, there's no school this year because it's on a Saturday. It really is just kind of like another day that will just pass by us. I just noticed on the calendar that we've got daylight savings time, which I forgot to write somewhere else, so I'm going to make myself a quick note. I just see it in here. Daylight savings time, let's see, fall back, spring forward, so clocks forward on March 11th. Other than that, we don't have a heck of a lot too exciting going on in March. Again, just a couple of birthdays, and I have a nice stack of cards, so I probably don't even need to make any cards for the birthdays. Oh, my niece's second birthday is at the end of March, so I'll probably do something fun and special for her, but other than that, boom, not really much going on. I also don't really have much to even show you guys for our budgeting, and I'll tell you why. It's like a week early, but we got our tax return already, so it's nothing spectacular, nothing glamorous to write home about, but and combined with the fact that today is payday anyway, I've already made the last payment on our electric bill, so we're all caught up with that until mid-March. I even paid a little bit extra on that just to make it a little bit less traumatic the next time it comes out. We already had, our rent's taken. Well, I technically haven't paid it yet, but because it's not due yet, but we have the money for rent is already all taken care of, which is due Thursday. My husband doesn't get paid till Friday, next Friday, so we made sure that we could budget for that on Thursday. So, I've already mentioned before that we already paid off the propane. We had to borrow a little bit from our savings. We're doing the total money makeover. We had to borrow a little bit from our savings to get through. I've already replaced that money. What else did we have going on here? It might be easier to look at this way. We had a couple of credit card bills, which I've paid. We had a low balance credit card that only had $270 on it. I paid that off just to get it away. I made a sizable payment on the next credit card in line. This is stuff that I've already done. So basically I've already like prepaid into March some of the bills. So I really don't even have anything to show you guys. Probably not until mid next month. So, which is really good that we're able to do that. You know, it wasn't a super huge tax return. It certainly was not anywhere near as nice as it was last year. Not that last year was awesome. Let me just explain how our taxes work here. We don't have, we live in New Hampshire and there's no sales tax here. So we're just filing federal taxes here in New Hampshire. My husband is employed, so he draws a W-2, and I'm self-employed. So I basically just do a Schedule C and attach that to his tax return. But because I am self-employed and I don't have taxes withdrawn from my paycheck, you know, Social Security and self-employed tax and FICA and all that stuff. None of that comes out of my stuff. So I have to end up paying it at the end of the year, or I should say the beginning of the following year. My husband does get a tax return, but because I'm self-employed, it basically they take my taxes out of his returns, so that brings it down. Plus, also in 2017, neither one of us had medical insurance. So which supposedly is not going to be the case next year. However, my husband does have insurance now in 2018. So if for some reason we do have to pay a fine for 2018 and 2019, it's not going to be as bad because it's just for me. But then again, I don't have, other than the ACA marketplace, I don't have insurance options because I'm self-employed. So I'm not really sure how that will work, how the fines will work and anything. But we are, since the American Health Care Act came out, we've been paying our fine every year because we haven't been able to afford the insurance premiums through my husband's work. And we don't, yeah. It still worked out to be cheaper to pay the fines than it was to, and this is where it works out for the same for the ACA, what's it called, marketplace healthcare as well. It's kind of the same thing where you pay your premium, but then your deductible for the plan is so huge that you could never afford to do anything anyway, so you would never go see the doctor. So the way that we kind of figured it out was we just wouldn't do it, and we still don't see a doctor. So that's probably not the best decision, but so we haven't had insurance. This is actually starting January, last month of this year. My husband we did enroll him for the insurance through his work because he got a promotion and a small raise over the summer, which kind of balanced out getting insurance for himself. We couldn't afford to put me on the plan too because it literally triples the weekly premium to put a spouse on the plan. It would have been $215 or $210 or something to have both of us on the insurance. I was like, oh, okay, we'll just do him for now. And slightly aside, if you're new or just catching up, I recently found a doctor for myself that doesn't take insurance. So I still have health care. I just don't have insurance. So that doesn't, I have a payment arrangement with my physician who doesn't deal with insurance at all. So I'm still getting care, so don't worry about me, but it doesn't count as insurance. It's still much cheaper for me to pay the monthly fee to have this doctor than it is to put me on my husband's insurance plan. So I'm not without care. I just, we just can't afford the insurance. So we've been doing it this way. Anyway, sorry for the long, boring explanation. My husband actually has his first doctor's appointment in over 10 years next week with his new doctor, with his new insurance. So we'll see how that works out. Anyway, long, boring explanation as to why we didn't have insurance at our age, though. It's kind of stupid to not be not be seeing a doctor at this point. So I'm excited for him to start getting some care. Okay, back to money stuff. Not really much else going on. Bills are paid, at least for the next couple of weeks. Feels good. Our savings account is replenished again. I even, it made us seem extra rich because we just got the tax return yesterday, which was a week early, plus today was payday. So I went and looked at my bank balance and I was like, oh my God, we're rich. I can do this and this. No, I can't, because as soon as I started paying bills and like that number goes down. But anyway. Just a little funny side note. But we're back on track with normal life stuff, so I'm pretty excited about that. So let me talk a little bit about what I've been doing. So as you guys know, I've been working on a much smaller crafting supply budget. Lawn Fawn's release came out yesterday. I believe it was released yesterday, but they announced it like a month ago. And a couple of places were doing pre-orders, including Scrapbook Pal. So what I had been doing was, if I had a little extra Etsy money, I would place a Scrapbook Pal pre-order. And I actually have a couple of Scrapbook Pal pre-orders, but then they were all, I think it's like $25 is the threshold for free shipping at Scrapbook Pal. And I kind of purposely did that because the release from the fall, I pre-ordered something and like it just kept getting back-ordered, and they wouldn't ship the rest of my items until the back-ordered one shipped. And they ended up, because it was back-ordered so much, they ended up changing their minds like a month later, and they shipped my other stuff anyway. But for like a month there, it looked like my stuff was, it was the shadow box card die was the item that kept getting back ordered. So this time I was like, I don't want that to happen to me this time, because I want my stuff. So I kind of spread it out, in addition to, you know, because that's all that I could scrape up towards the crafting stuff that week. And I kind of placed a series of smaller orders with a couple of the Lawn Fawn things. So I have some Lawn Fawn goodies coming in from Scrapbook Pal in like 3 or 4 different orders that were pre-ordered. I didn't get everything that I wanted to get. There are still many things left on my my wish list, which I actually do have. My Lawn Fawn wish list. Of course, it's like an all-encompassing wish list and not necessarily just that release. It's like everything that I want from Lawn Fawn. But I did check quite a few things off the old list here that are coming in. And I won't go through them. I'll wait. I'll do a haul for you guys, so it'll be more like a surprise. But there's still 1, 2... like 3 or 4 more things that I still wanted from that release. I did invest in one of the die sets, and you'll see that. But the others I did not, because I figured I could probably do something kind of close enough or along the same vein. Hello, my phone just stopped recording. It was just blabbering on and it dinged, and whatever, I checked it, it seems fine. The phone's fully charged. There's plenty of storage space. Nobody was anywhere near the button and it turned off anyway. Anyway, so I'll just wrap it up. What I was blabbering about was I don't buy a ton of dies for stuff that I can do something close enough in Cricut. I was saying that one of the Lawn Fawn dies that I thought was really cute was the one that makes the little flower pot sets, but I can't justify, you know, the money for that when I have this, you know, $200 Cricut that has plenty of flower pot stuff that I could do with it if I wanted the flower pots. So I don't literally buy everything that Lawn Fawn makes. So that's pretty much all that I wanted to blabber on about that. I do, oh, and I also placed a Hallmark scrapbook order, but that was more for replenishment. I needed some more tape and glue and stuff, and I think I did get a stamp set too, just to hit the free shipping threshold, but I no longer remember what that is, so it wasn't all that long ago. So that'll be a surprise for me too when it comes in. One of the big things, the big thing that's on my wish list this year is the Gemini. So I'm kind of setting a little bit of money aside for that whenever I can. So I had to kind of visually break it down into a couple of different payments. So I'm excited. So in my planner, I say not like literally. So I took the amount and then I said, okay, well, I can set aside, $15 a week until I get it. So I had to visually break it down and be like, oh, okay. So, so unless we happen to get rich in the next couple of weeks, it'll be a few months until I can save up to get the Gemini, which I would love to. My Cricut has been malfunctioning. It's hard, the handle pops off all the time. Sometimes it's hard to get the plates to grab onto the rollers, and then I have to keep, over and over again trying to get it to go through. I think that the cut pressure lessons, I keep having to put, no matter the manufacturer of the die, I keep having to put more and more excuse me, shims in to get it to go through. It no longer cuts anything intricate. So I think we are kind of nearing the end of my Cuttlebug, and it'll be really nice to have the Gemini. That and my shoulders are crap. Both of my shoulders are just awful. So it'll be nice to have something electric that actually works really nice. And I'll still hang on to the Cuttlebug for those very rare incidences when there's no power, but you still want to craft. So, so there you go. So that is it. I do have a bit of a Hero Arts. We went through this last time, so I won't bore you with the whole book again, but I do have a bit of a Hero Arts wish list going on. So I'm looking forward to the March kit being announced, which I think it'll be announced, let's see, by next Friday, I think is when it's going to be announced. And then they'll open it up for picking up add-ons. And of course, there are some things off from my checklist that I'd like to check off. Another thing that I have coming is some Distress Oxides from the third release. So I'm pretty excited about that. I got an amazing deal on that, which I am happy to share about when it actually gets here. I don't know, it hasn't shipped. So that's kind of what's coming in. Lawn Fawn and ink and Hero Art stuff next week I'll deal with. Yeah, so let's move right on the list. My car, I mentioned that my car was having some problems with the caliper, which is like a part that helps with my brake or whatever. We had the part, my husband was able to put the new part on, no issue. However, when he was on his way to the place to put the part on, I will say we live, it's like all mud and ice and dirt out here where we are. There's no real stable place for him to jack up the car to work on it. So he went to a parking lot behind the store where he used to work before he was transferred. He's still friends with everybody there, and just hung out with them for the day and worked on his car. And where, it's nice and paved and stable where he could put it on. However, just as he was pulling into the parking lot to go do that the other day, part of the shock broke on my car, completely unrelated to the caliper issue. So now we have this thing with the shock happening with my car. And we had to have Toyota order the part for that, and that actually came in today. My husband just texted me while in between video footage here, when my camera cut out, I happened to notice I had a text from my husband, so I quickly responded to him before I turned the camera back on. He said that he already picked up the part, so he'll put that on hopefully Sunday. And then hopefully my car will be back up in running order. Who else does this happen to? You're on the way to get your car fixed for one issue, and then a completely separate issue, just boom, whatever. Also, we have set aside for both of our cars with our newfound wealth, this tax return, we both really need he really needs an oil change, but we both really need our tires rotated. And I think I'm not quite due for an oil change yet. I'm only I don't drive a lot, so he said I still have about 500 miles to go for an oil change. So I don't know if we're just going to go ahead and get the oil change anyway because my car is older. Who knows? So oil changes and tire rotations are in order for everyone, so we have a little money set aside for that. Moving on down my list, I have something sad to talk about, and kind of a call for help. A friend of a friend has asked for some anonymous help in the form of a card shower for her teenage daughter. Her teenage daughter is now this is a friend of a friend's daughter. I've never met them. They don't live anywhere around here, so I'm just going on the information that's provided for me. This young woman is a senior in high school and was all set to head off to college in the fall. She has this boyfriend who is not particularly nice to her, and has been known to be physically abusive to her, and very recently has, and this is a quote, punched, kicked, and stabbed her. I'm reading off this thing right now. This young woman has decided to disenroll herself from college so that she can stay home next year and be with this boyfriend. Rightfully so. Her parents are quite upset at this decision. However, it would appear that she's a legal adult and there's nothing they can do about it. So the mother has been pleading to the crafting community, and in particular card makers, that might have something to say, to shower her daughter with some cards, some words of encouragement, or maybe even just some tough love about how you don't want to give up your life for a boy in general, but much less a boy that does this. If you're interested in helping her and if writing her a letter, we are to keep her information anonymous. However, you can mail a card to my P.O. box, which is listed down in the description, and I will forward it on to the place that it needs to go. If I will not open up your card, I do not need to see what you write. If you want to just address the card to a friend, care of Kim H, that would be fine. If your card is inside of another mailer, then you don't need to do that. But I will not open it. I do not need to see what you write. If you just want to write a friend, I will know that it is supposed to be forwarded on, and then I will forward them on. I personally, I think that it's. I definitely need to make her a card, definitely not grab something from my stash, and I have a couple of ideas in mind for the actual making of the card. But as you guys know, if you followed me for any length of time, I've talked before a little bit about my own childhood and what it was like to grow up in an abusive house, and kind of some of the long-term physical and mental ramifications, what it actually does to somebody long-term being in abuse that long. I am sometimes not in great shape in my own head, which is unfortunate because on the outset I have everything that I should need to be happy, including a happy marriage. I do not have an abusive marriage. I have a very happy marriage, and I have a great daughter, but I still, because of what I went through, those first 17 years of my life, I still just can't shake some of this stuff, and it's really frustrating. And I actually know a little something about not pursuing the future that you should pursue because of a boy. I dropped out of college after my first year of college. Granted, I dropped out to take care of my father, my abuser. After my mother left, my father did not handle it very well. He's mentally ill to begin with, but he spent some time in institutions and so on and so forth. He did not handle this very well. Someone needed to take care of him, and my mother obviously wasn't there anymore, so somebody had to do it, and I was the oldest sibling. Or the oldest sibling that still was around anyway. So I did it, and where I got into trouble was once a year later, when my father was, kind of in a better place himself, and didn't really need somebody to cook and clean for him. I did not go back to school because at that point I was seeing someone and I didn't want to leave him. And that relationship just it wasn't physically abusive, but it was not a good relationship, and that was just not a good thing. So, I have a little something to say about this woman. And also, I'm not sure if I discuss this too much, but my best friend, whom I'm not completely estranged with, but I don't have a lot to do with her anymore, has been in an abusive marriage for like 13 years, and you can only get your friend through it and go pick her up, from this horrible man so many times, and kind of to have her turn right back around and run back to him, so many times before you say, okay, I need to take a step back emotionally. because she needs to, you know, I didn't just disappear from her life because I want her to always feel like she can come to me, but I can't be the one that deals with this on a day-to-day basis anymore, because it was killing me watching her do that. So, and we're in our, you know, late 30s, so, and, you know, it's not a way to live. I don't want this kid to go down this path. So I do have a few things that I'd like to say to her, and I'm currently working on a card design for something I want to make her. If there's anything that you relate to in any of this, anything that you would like to say, maybe this girl is a younger version of yourself that you could have stopped before you make you know, just a terrible decision that literally affects the rest of your life. It does literally affect the rest of your life if you choose to not go to college. It does, to be in an abusive relationship, it does affect everything. I think of my own mother, who, with her first marriage, she married her first husband when she was a teenager, and she was pregnant before she knew it, and didn't have anywhere else to go. And eventually she did have somewhere else to go, you know, my father. And then my father took her out of state, you know, thousands of miles away from her family, and then clicked on his psycho switch, and then was awful. And then boom, you know, before she knew it, within 2 months, she's pregnant with me. So, and then my sisters, you know, came a year, you know, we're a year and a half apart from each other, and just, really, it's a vicious cycle. I think about my own mother, you know, what I could have said to her, or something that might have made a difference to her. So, sorry for the long ramble. If there's something that you feel that you can contribute, and if there's something that you would like to say to this young woman, this is a young woman that we might be able to help. Her mother's asking for a card shower. I cannot reveal who she is or their address, but if you would like to get the cards to me, a friend, care of Kim H, and my P.O. box is down in the description below. I will forward it along to the family with my card. I would be happy to do so. I will not open it. What you have to say is private and for this young woman's eyes only. All I care about is trying to help her. Okay, so that is the sad news for the week. What else do we have to talk about here? I don't know. I can't even read my own penmanship. We have our February school vacation is next week, so I'm probably, if I do a video next week, it'll probably be with my daughter, so you'll have my daughter assistant. My daughter as the assistant next week. The only thing that I think I wanted to talk about was, I've mentioned before that there's a scrapbook convention coming semi-nearby in April that we're kind of excited for. We booked the hotel like months ago, and my husband and daughter are going to come too, and they're just going to, the convention is in the hotel, so the plan was they would just do their own thing and do the swimming in the pool and the hanging out in the hotel and all that stuff. We don't have TV here at home, so it's like a big, you know, treat to have cable, lots of things, while I was, you know, downstairs in the convention doing my thing. We got an email from the hotel saying that the hotel is changing hands and going to be under a different name, and it could affect our reservation. But it didn't say anything about like how it affected the reservation, so that's kind of on my my checklist of things to do. This place isn't too far away from my house, so it's about an hour and a half ride. The whole thing was we were going to kind of make a little... Sorry, I have this like residue left over in my throat from my swallowing my multivitamin like an hour and a half ago, and it's still like stuck there, and I keep trying to gulp it down, so I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude. I wouldn't be too sad if we just, you know, canceled the reservation and saved ourselves. My daughter would be devastated because she's looking forward to staying in a fancy hotel, but I wouldn't mind just canceling it entirely and saving the money towards craft supplies, right? So we'll see. I do need to contact them and find out what's going on with that. So yeah, that is what I have for my long rambly update. It is Friday. This weekend we don't have too much going on. My friend that you guys got to meet, at least in voice, in the last video, she is currently, at this exact moment, on a plane on the way to start her new life over. We're very excited. She's heading out to Washington State with her cats on the plane. So I'm looking forward to hearing from her in a couple of hours that they've landed safely. I will certainly miss her a lot. I didn't get to see her too much anyway because she lived in Boston with her partner, and I only saw her maybe once a year anyway during the holiday time. Her mother is my landlord. That's how we got this rental, is because I've known the family for like 20 something years. So, so we're renting from friends. So she would come home to visit her mom, and then of course, you know, by extension visit us because we live right next door to each other. So, and you know, I only really got to see her once a year anyway. So I'm kind of used to her, used to keeping in touch with her, you know, via phone or whatever anyway. But she has been here for the past couple of weeks, kind of waiting in between leaving her apartment in Boston and flying out to Washington this morning. So I am going to miss her because she was right next door, and for a couple of weeks. And she's also crafty, so she would come over and talk crafting stuff with me and planner stuff with me, and we would play. And so I'm going to miss her a little bit, but I'm going to be okay. But I'm anxious to hear how her flight was with the cats. So I'm nervous. So once she checks in, then I'll be fine. Looking forward to updates from her and wish her all of the luck and love in her new life. I will try not to hound her until next week until I get an update. Anyway, so that's all I got to talk about. Sunday, my husband's going to work on the car. We'll do the grocery shopping, the cleaning, the usual stuff. Nothing super exciting. Oh, I do have to place an order from Chewy.com, which is a new store to me, because we have to get a new filter for our fish tank. Very exciting stuff. Probably not something I'll bore you guys with a haul. Anyway, so that's what I have. It is Friday. I do wish you all a really nice weekend. Let me know if you have any questions about the card shower for this young lady. Definitely reach out if you want to help, and I wasn't clear on how you could help. They're not asking for anything other than cards with words of encouragement or some tough love in them to help this young lady. Yeah, that's about it. So you guys have a great weekend. Thanks for listening. I'm sorry so long and rambly, and my phone cut off at one point, so it's going to be a really weird patched together video, but that's what I got. You guys take care and have a great weekend. Bye!